This is Jilliana Ranicar-Breese, part 3, back with Romany. Romany, tell me about your, how would we say, your breakthrough?
Yeah, breakthrough, bust up.
With British Telecom,
Yeah.
of course. Tell
Well,
me
it was with life in
what
general,
happened.
really. So there I am, 24 years old. I'm working really hard for British Telecom because I've replaced someone who died of a heart attack through stress. But not only that, because due to my experience in my youth of getting really thin and then putting on weight, I developed an eating disorder. So because bulimia, which had got worse and worse from the age of 17 and now I'm 24. It got worse. And at the age of 24, it's probably the worst it had ever got. So this is my life. I get up early. I live in Islington. I get up early and I cycle from Islington down to Covent Garden to do an exercise class. I then go in to do weights. Then I go into my corporate job. After my corporate job...
Which was in Covent Garden.
In Covent Garden. I then cycle home, getting back about 7, and then I go to more training classes to learn juggling or stilt walking, and then I then go dancing salsa until 2 in the morning. The reason for all this is if I stayed home, I would just eat and then throw up because I was out of control with my food. So I had to fill every single moment with activity and exercise.
But you were eating.
Not much.
Not much.
No. So I had to fill... See, bulimic will fill every moment with exercise because that's what you do when you're trying to get thinner. So you can imagine, if I was a string, I was getting frayed at every...
What was your weight at that point?
I've always been this weight. So I've always been... So after I lost the extra 2
You said
stone,
you're 10 stone.
I'm about 10 stone. So I'm a normal, healthy weight.
Yes, yes.
And that's the thing with bulimia. You can't really tell with people. They're not thin and they're not fat, usually.
Yeah.
They look absolutely normal.
Yeah.
Because that's just how it is. But I was always trying to be thinner to be a performer, to dance salsa. So therefore I was doing all 3 hours plus exercise a day, but it wasn't getting anywhere. However, it was almost like, it's like a hamster on a wheel. You're trying to go faster and faster and faster to outrun this thing. And sooner or later there's going to be a crash. And so I'd got to the point where I couldn't even eat an apple, really, without having to throw it up again. And I was very ill. I was seeing a psychologist for 2 years, but that didn't help at all. No one knew, apart from my family, apart from my mother and father, but they didn't know what to do about it. And I was really, really ill. So it wasn't surprising that I should basically break down. And what happened was I went to Paris to do a really big sales deal. And the turning point was when I was in a hotel room and I went to open the door and I couldn't work out how to open the door. Like a normal thing. I couldn't work it out. And then I went and sat down and looked at my face in the mirror and I couldn't see my face.
What do you mean you couldn't?
Like I could see a reflection,
Yeah.
but I couldn't recognise that it was me. Now, the only time I've ever had anything like that to show you the stress of it was on my wedding day when I was perfectly happy, but I hadn't organised anyone to help me. So when I looked in the mirror, I couldn't work out how to put on my makeup because I was so stressed. And luckily someone came in and helped me. But at the time with BT, I was so stressed and so ill that I couldn't work it out. And I thought to myself, hey, I'm breaking up here. So I was fine at my job. I did a sales presentation. I looked completely normal. But when I went back and I said, I'm going to need a couple of weeks holiday. And they went fine. And that was it. I never went back to BT. I went back to my parents, and the moment I stopped BT, it was like a big wave of anxiety came in, and I couldn't operate. I had like anxiety rushing up and down my arms. I couldn't think straight. I couldn't talk to anyone. I couldn't. It was, and I went to the doctors, and they gave me drugs and beta blockers, but they didn't work. And then they put me on 3 times the amount of Prozac, which is what they give bulimics, to calm me down. And I just couldn't operate.
Oh, you were a vegetable.
Yeah, so I sat in my childhood room, which was papered with fairies, from my childhood. And I sat on my single bed and I thought, I am in a cage and I can't get out. I can see the door, but I can't move. And this was my absolute wonderful moment, the moment that completely changed my life, because I thought, and the reason I am here is because I knew all along what was best for me, which was to be a performer. And I have taken the advice of very well-meaning people all my life to get a good job and a corporate career and to follow that. Whereas I know what makes me happy, and that is to be a performer.
And that takes courage.
And that was it. And that gave me an anger and a fury and a passion, which I just thought, right, this is it. I'm not listening to anyone anymore. I know best. I'm going to be a performer no matter what it takes.
So how'd you go about that?
I think that's fantastic. Because what happened was, when people said to me, you're not earning any money, why don't you get a job in a bar, or why don't you do something else? Inside I was like, don't talk to me. It made me absolutely reliant on my own self. It was like, do not give me any advice. I've had it with advice. Advice got me to this point. Now I'm listening to my own advice. So it was fantastic. And that was at the age of 26.
Right.
And from that point on, I had to find my way. And I'm so grateful for that, because it could have taken...
Well, we're all going to have to read the book, aren't we?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
What's the title of the book again?
The book is called Spun into Gold.
Yeah.
The Secret Life of a Female Magician. And it is the secret life, and it's very honest.
And it's very well written too.
Thank you. And it's Spun into Gold is about alchemy, about how you take yourself and you spin off all your dross and all your crap, and you get to be your best self, which I feel I'm getting into. And I wrote it really honestly, because A, what's the point of a memoir if it's not honest? And B, the truth will set you free as well. But it's like, if we're all honest about ourselves, we're powerful. There's a real power in vulnerability and honesty. Because if we're all pretending, this Facebook thing of filters...
Oh, I know. Wearing the mask. You have to put your cards on the table.
Yeah. And it was through my experience with this agoraphobia and through my experience with bulimia and having to go really slowly and finding my own way that, I found my joy.
But you mentioned, and I was rather surprised, that you are still a bit agoraphobic. You don't enjoy going out unless it's for work.
Well, I enjoy it when I'm out. So I enjoy it when I'm out.
Getting out.
Yeah, so getting out, it never really goes away. And anxiety, I find, never goes away. Really? And I find it's often a biological thing that, for me, nutrition really works well. If I've been really good with nutrition, had the right amount of vegetables and minerals and that, then I'm much better. I can think clearly. And if, for example, when I'm on a cruise, the food isn't good for me because it's...
there's lashings of it.
Yeah, and I'm gluten-free and allergic to dairy. So if I don't eat the right food, so I'm not very well, and my brain starts to, go really slowly. Whereas if I have lots of fruit and vegetables and good stuff, then I'm in a much better place. So I rest and I really look after myself.
Yeah.
But I have to do that. Otherwise anxiety just comes back and then it's a day on the sofa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. We'll continue at a later stage.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah.